Da skal jeg ønske dere alle sammen velkommen til dagens bokkafé. Dagens innleder, han har høyttaler, ikke vær bekymret for lyden. Dagens tema er Petroleum Resources av Ove Tobias Gudmestad, som jeg tror mange av dere kjenner, så dere kan trenge noe nærmere presentasjon. Hensikten med dette er å få presentert boken. Det ligger løpesetter her for de som er interessert i å kjøpe boken etterpå. Så etter hans presentasjon så er det åpent for debatt og diskusjon. Vær så god, Ove Tobias Gudmestad.
Ok, tusen takk. Går det bra? Hører dere meg? Ja, ok. I see that some of my students and some staff, they still don't master Norwegian. So if it's okay for my Norwegian colleagues, I'll speak English. I hope that will be fine. Yeah? And we, meaning that Professor Anatoly Zolotukhin, Petroleum Engineering, and Dr. Erik T. He is an independent consultant in Stavanger on economics. We have written a book on petroleum resources with particular emphasis on how we develop offshore fields. Murphy's around here. Murphy's Law, you know. First, why did we write this book? Well, first, we have MPD down the hill here. At MPD, they have a course, Petrod, where they each year invite 50 middle management leaders to learn about offshore developments. And they asked me several years ago if they could prepare a book on petroleum resources with a very wide scope, from reservoir to the market. And we agreed to do that. I used to work in Statoil for a long time, and I also thought this was a good idea. So also I spent some time while I was with Statoil to prepare this book. Furthermore, for myself, I see that when we start working with a contractor, an oil company or whatever, we go in there with our specific knowledge. My students have their knowledge within pipelines, within some offshore structures, with a bit of safety, with a bit of environmental concern, but most of them have no idea about reservoir geology, for example. So we thought that there would be a need for people in the industry to get to know what's the background for their work. How does my riser fit in the big scope of oil and gas development? So that was one of the reasons why I got interested in preparing such a book manuscript. Furthermore, also some scientists, they work very hard within the area. I could, for example, be reservoir engineering without having any knowledge about subsea structures or what's the problem for pipelines from the field to the market. So these were say, the background or the scope for our study. So this is my point one. Why did we write this book? Okay. The second thing I mentioned was the authors. Who are these authors? Well, I say I've been working since quite back in the last century. Well, you're all born here in the last century, so don't smile. With oil and gas industry, I try to apply it with a wider scope from time to time, wind energy, in marine engineering and so on. And that's me. Background as mathematics and civil engineering. Professor Anatoly Zolotukhin, he was invited to UIS to work with UIS some time ago. He was a full-time professor here. Then he has been in an oil company. He's now vice rector at Gubkin University in Moscow. By the way, a university where we have very good cooperation between Tekna here and the Gubkin University. We even have a double degree diploma in what we call offshore field development. We are specialists in our areas, and somebody told me that this book wouldn't be very good if we had not the economic aspects included, and that's why Erik T was invited to assist us He's a very good economist, and he wrote quite comprehensive chapters on economics. Okay. So let me then tell you what does this book cover. I mentioned a bit. It covers geology, reservoir as one part. It covers the production and the production technology as the second part. It covers safety and environment as a third part. And then we also bring in here at the end some ethical discussions. How should one behave as engineers? As I said, I had a background in mathematics, but since then I have converted to be an engineer and quite proud of that. And the medical doctors, they claim they have the Hippocrates oath, so they are special. We don't have anything like that in engineering, so we try to point out that we should behave in the same way as engineers. So this is the problems discussed in the book. Let me then focus on my own subject, the production engineering. And I brought my tool here. Okay, so now you don't read this Coke, you don't read this American propaganda. You think this is oil. Can you think about that? Okay, so this is oil. I'm talking about from reservoir to the market. So now I have to bring this oil to the market. And I have to make a choice. How do I transport it from the facilities to the market? Well, this is oil, so of course I use an oil tanker. Okay, but there is one problem. Well, there's no problem actually, but that's just you see here? No problem. Oh, okay, there is some gas in here, but okay, I just open up, and the gas fades away. Okay. But on the other hand, this oil is then into the boat. Okay, you have an idea what will happen? I have to shake more. Okay, so why do I do this? Well, when we have the oil from the reservoir, the oil contains water. We have to take that out. Nobody will pay full oil price for water. But there's a lot of gas in the oil. And we cannot transport the oil with the gas in a supertanker. Is it possible? Because then the gas is not a friendly gas, it's methane. And we cannot just drink the methane. We have to get rid of it. Because if the methane comes out, it will make an explosion. We even have people on the boat smoking. Okay, bad habit, but okay, this happens. And when the steel is reacting with steel, there is a spark, and then the whole boat can go into the air. So what do we do in order to transport the oil? It's not very easy to get rid of this. There will still be a lot of gas in the oil, exactly as for this here. So what we have to do, we have to carry out the processing. Processing means first taking out the water, as I said. That's obvious. But why do we have to take out the gas? Well, we have an explosion unless we get rid of the gas. So how do we do that? Well, now see here, it seems like the oil is so, my Coke is dead. But it's not. There is still a lot of gas in this oil. In the Coke. And I can continue to vent it. This is venting, okay? Now I can continue to vent it, but it has to be. Of course, we cannot put all the oil, thousands of barrels, for first to a shaker and then into a vessel. So we have to take the oil, and what they do is they take it down to 0.8 atmosphere. So they reduce the pressure, and then the gas is taken out. So this is supposed to be oil and gas university, but I'm sure that not all of you were thinking about this. But that's just one small piece of items we have to be aware of. And if you work with safety and environment, maybe you didn't think about that. or similar subjects. So this is what this book is talking about. The different aspects that's needed to bring the oil from all the way from the reservoir to a buyer. Unless there's a buyer, we cannot afford to do the oil business. So we have to. There must be somebody willing to pay for the oil. This is what it is about. It sounds like I'm part of the Handelshøyskole here, the business school, but I'm not. I'm definitely not. But that's also important to think in terms of business, not only technology, in terms of safety, not only the technology, in terms of environment, and not only technology. You know that this is a saying, if you cannot afford safety, try the cost of an accident. BP have recently tried it, and now they had to pay $44 billion. No, 44 billion kroner just to the third parties. Okay, so and that's just a part of it. Okay, in order to continue this, we have also got this book translated into Russian. So this was just a piece of what the book contains. So there are several technical chapters. Okay. And that's why I can recommend it. Our students at our institute, IKM, for civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and material science, they will use it as a recommended addition reading for the course on offshore field development. Okay. Then it's I will also draw your attention to the chapters again on not only the technology but on project management. How do we think when we do project management? I have one very bad fear. It's that my wife one day will demand a new kitchen. And well, I'm not really into that. I think our kitchen is great. But the project manager, the first thing we have to do is to measure. How big is the room? Okay? I don't know if people have experienced that they forget about measure accurately, and then there is this small additional part that doesn't fit in. So you have to use a saw, you have to cut the bench or whatever. So this is also included here, project management. And project management is I say, not only for the big projects, but also for large projects. If anybody reading Teknisk Ukeblad here, they might have seen me. I'm saying that maybe there is something wrong with this Yme platform. The plan was 4 billion kroner. Now it is close to 13 billion kroner and growing. So that's what I have to think about. And my opinion, as I said in Teknisk Ukeblad, maybe there is something with the contract that doesn't really put the responsibility where it should be. Okay. That's for project management, a very important part of bringing the oil and gas from what they call the reservoir to the market. The next thing is safety and environment. Yeah, I mentioned that. And try an accident. I mentioned BP. I don't need to emphasize more. That was that part of BP. I'm not saying that all parts of BP will work in the same manner. Of course not. And then we have the effect of an accident or of safety breach. That could be the big pollution. At our university, okay, that's the head of the department here. Okay, thank you for coming. We are now thinking of working more actively in the northern regions, together with Tromsø and Narvik and the other universities in the north. And you can imagine the effect of a pollution, a big oil spill in the north. The Gulf of Mexico is, after all, the temperature in the water is warm. There is some evaporation of the oil. But in the north, we have a temperature of the seawater is in the winter 3 to 4 degrees. There is no sun to evaporate. If the oil starts to drift, it can drift maybe even into the ice, and so on. You can make a much worse scenario than even what was in the Gulf of Mexico. So we have to think in terms of environment. Then I said I was quite proud that we, at the end, we include this discussion about responsibility to society for the oil industry and business ethics. Here we have listed these specific principles of the Society of Naval Architecture and Mechanical Engineers in the U.S. They have something very similar to this Hippocrates oath of the medical doctors. Of course, I envy these doctors. They have to say this is what we believe in. We will work for people all the time. Okay, I hope they do it. But I would like our engineers to do the same thing. That is included in the back of the book. So safety, environment, and the ethics. Finally, what's on further? Well, the book focuses on educating colleagues. It can be used by the scientists as a background for their work. If I work on risers, I have to know something about the well stream, what comes out from the well, in order to do a proper work on risers, the pipeline from the seafloor up to the platform. And that's why I think this might be a good book, not only for the young student, but also for other staff, other workers in the oil and gas industry. Okay, so thank you for coming and listening to me. I understand that you are invited to ask questions. That would be very nice if somebody had a good question.
Can I try this?
No.
But take the question anyway.
Det var bare å skrive alle der. We have to turn this off. Murphy's is among us. You know Murphy's law? If anything can go wrong, it will. Yeah? That's no problem. Tore?
How come the Russian version is much thicker than the Norwegian version?
Well, they are not thicker in their heads, as we say in Norwegian. It's just that the Russian letters are all capital letters, and they need more space. Maybe they used a better paper here. I don't know, but regardless, this is what happened. I don't know. I think you should more focus on price, Tora. So if this is cheaper, you will get more for the money. By the way, this is Erik. Come up and join me, Erik. It's my co-author on the economics. Yeah. So you should focus on price. You get if it's a similar price, you will get a good price, a good book for the money.
So the Russian edition is a bargain offer.
Well, it depends upon the price. I haven't looked it up though. I haven't looked it up the price. It's on sale here. It's on sale directly from the publishing house, which is WIT, Wessex Institute of Technology. They publish some specialist technical books, and they publish a lot of conference proceedings. By the way, how did they come in contact with them? You should notice, because the leader there and me, we had the same mentor at our university in America. The students try to get contacts while you are here. It can last for life.
Okay, other questions?
You comment something about the future of the oil business in Norway in the book?
as I said, this book was written, was started to write this book several years ago, indicated. Then there was all the time there was a comment that this is the industry, the sunset industry. While something has happened in the past, that was a nuclear accident in Japan. The Germans have abandoned the nuclear energy, and of course there is a need for energy. So the energy can come from wind or from other resources, solar, but the gas, energy from gas is not extremely polluting compared to coal burning and also oil burning. So I think there will be a lot of focus on gas in Europe for many, many years to come. That's number one. And then the sunset industry suddenly popped up again. It wasn't sun, it was midnight sun. So the sun is coming up again, and we have the big field out here in the North Sea. I hope that will be professionally done, not just a rush job, which go like the Yme project. And we have the resources identified in the north of Norway by Statoil. By the way, this field out in the central North Sea was identified by Lundin, a Swedish company. Can you imagine? Finding oil for Norway. And we then have the big new area, what we formerly call the grey zone, the new area of the Barents Sea, which is the size of the North Sea. The Russians had identified in the past very large prospects. Whether these prospects are just water or salt domes, so we don't know. But there will be a lot of need for, in my opinion, for this industry in Norway and around for many, many years to come. So you can even start talking with your young son if you have one. Or daughter, of course.
Other questions? Let's continue.
Thinking about that future, what would you recommend for those people studying petroleum or pursuing careers in petroleum? What would you recommend as an academic to those people?
What I can recommend this as a subject to take, yes, that's what I indicated. There has been, due to, we are, Per and me, Per Scherpe, as head of department, and me, we are from this former Stavanger Tekniske Skole, which was dedicated all the engineers necessary for the area here. So we are now educating this, the industry leaders for oil and gas, together with Petroleum Institute. What I think is necessary is that we try to have a broad background. We require 30 study points of mathematics in order to have students intake. If they don't have that, they will not be admitted. So we require a foundation, and then the students go and take a broad series of courses on maintenance, on the structural engineering, transport mechanics, on the marine technology, and some specialized courses in marine operations and pipelines and so on. And then they go to a thesis. And some students, they really want to do something else. They think, yeah, maybe they don't like oil and gas, or my fiancé doesn't like oil and gas, it's a dirty part. So they take wind energy. And we are lucky. We do not have resources to start a wind energy course. These students, they take wind energy as a master thesis, and they get the offshore technology stamp, so they can continue on this direction, which I think is very nice. But they can also go into oil and gas, because we have a wide background in mathematics, we have a wide background of courses, and we don't focus very, very narrowly. So that's why we have flexibility. And that's why I think it's very good with our study and our courses in our institute. So the failure to expand has made us competitive.
questions? Let me ask you one question myself. You mentioned a couple of times whether engineers should have a professional oath. And it's, you said, listed at the end of your book, the canons of the fundamental principles developed by Society of Naval Architects, Marine Engineers, and Ocean Engineers. And it lists that it should not be involved in corruption, not in deceiving the public, working for the public, etc., etc. And what effect do you think that such an oath could have for the behavior of future engineers?
I think it would have made us prouder. Because I even read the Teknisk Ukeblad that we didn't follow up on the young people. So it's not, when I was young, there was a Knut Berg on Adventures, the engineer doing great things. We never see that anymore. It's the politicians who do great things and bad things. But engineers are hardly mentioned. Even if they make the condips or whatever, even this building, there's a lot of work to make sure that this building stands up. Yeah, I think it will make us prouder, and be that we knew that we had a foundation that was common. It could be this one. It could be especially for Norway. Yeah, and so it's. I think it would be good.
But do you think it would have an impact on how they actually behave?
I don't think there are many who doesn't follow that, but it will make us prouder, and we will in all a medical doctor will always say, "I'm a doctor," but he's not a doctor. He is a medical doctor. We educate the doctors, but PhDs. But I think that made us prouder, and it will impact us that we more proudly can stand up and say, "We are engineers." Yeah. We don't need to do as some countries, they call themselves doctor, professor, whatever. But we just say, "I'm engineer." Like if you go south here, I don't know how many are from the south. We call ourselves farmers, whatever background we have. All of us from Gjøre are very proud of that. And I think also the engineering profession should have the same proudness.